This is day 1064 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Like a sponsor, come share more of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Please call me directly. Very greatly appreciate it. Today we're doing Yordea, Simon Tzadi Base, Sif Lamed Base, to Lamed Ches. I actually brought from upstairs my newer edition of Arukh HaShulchan, which is far clearer. Hopefully won't have any problems anymore with reading the small letters. Lamed Base. V'da. The zeh sheb'yam b'siv chav ches. The lach b'lach lo mir chatichim nas. Lach b'lach lo mir chatichim nas. We don't say the chanam by lach b'lach. Kasav amar shal. The zeh b'dover lach she'ena b'derech bishul. It's by something where it's not derech bishul. It's not cooked. On yain b'yain. Chayotze b'zeh. It's like wine mixed with wine. B'dover lach shu derech bishul. But if it's something which is cooked, I feel lach bulach now nevela. Even liquid and liquid becomes nevela. Kolon shabishlu rotav shel isur and rotav sheter, such as you cooked a sauce of a prohibited sauce with a permitted sauce. Then a little bit got spilled into another heter. You have to have 60 corresponding to all of the liquid which came from the first mixture. Below, so here I got mixed up. In the other heter. And not just corresponding to the forbidden sauce in it. Say a gazayis of forbidden sauce. Im kazayis or the heter got cooked with a kazayis of permitted sauce. We sham nishbach kazayis leterach, and then from there kazayis fell into another heter. Nim to aim zerachi kazayis isur me'akoidem. So therefore, so that there was nivla properly. So therefore, there's only half a zayis of isur. Come to the shishim zayis and they call zayis. Nevertheless, you had 60 zayis and karas might the entire zayis. Nei shekulo nasen avela, because the entirety because avela came through derech bishul, because it's derech bishul. Marshal says that's in that case you say chanan even by liquids. Moshe ben Ramo lamash makein. Doesn't sound away from Ramo. V'chein meforsh by Mordechai. Zeh l'shona. Mordechai says v'ayachol shayisur ne'emer chatichana the nases avela. Mordechai is going with the shita, of course, that every isur chanan. Not just pasuk, but but that's only specifically in a piece which is solid. The piece of iser is distinct and recognizable. Distinct. But something liquid, if such as when truma gets mixed up chulin, or yain, maim, or wine and water, or rotab, or sauce and sauce. The ain iser nikar, there's no Isser, which is recognizable and distinct. If then there's another heter which got mixed up with the first heter, you don't say chanal asosa called isser to make the entire first liquid isser. Now to shishin kol tarovas since requires 60 corresponding to the entire mixture. Ad kan l'shayna. V'iskim shem l'ras Rambanza. The Mordechai agrees with the Ramban's sak b'yura shalbosa shbas v'chatichas iser with a pot of meat in which there was cooked a piece of iser v'loya b'yura shishin l'vat iser. It wasn't 60 in the pot. I mean, vato the iser v'nesar kol mash b'yura, and everything in that pot became iser. V'lachol amarak sheb'yura, they took the milk, which is in milk. They took the soup which was in the pot with some of b'ktera shesha machal shahet, and they put it into another foodstuff which was heter. So it wasn't 60 corresponding to the entire taroves, which you would have to have if it was chanan of the prohibited substance. I'm sorry, skip the line. Plus, the forbidden, the meat, the soup which became forbidden, does not answer in turn or more than whatever iser was mixed into in the first place. And Shabiyo you shloshim pa'amin neged iser. Say if the pot, the original pot had 30 times the amount of iser. We only consider the soup which you put into the second pot shnei pa rak chelik shloshim shliser. We only consider it 1/30th also. So that's the case. If there's twice as much soup in this pot as the soup which fell into it, yesh kan shishim. 16. This is where you should reckon it no matter what. Like that, what you learn. When something is when truma gets mixed up in chulin and then it falls elsewhere, so it goes according to the cheshbon of the original truma. Ayin shom. Ramban pasak mishul svirle. The Lord Mina Chanan Shari Surim. It's true the Ramban says Arukh HaShulchan Paska away because he doesn't hold Chanan by Shari Surim at all. Mekom Kam Mordechai Hiskim LaRosso after you lo Svirle came B'tam Shizbar. But the Mordechai who does hold Chanan the Shari Surim still passes like this Ramban. So that with Lach by Lach there's no Chanan. Lamadal Misel Man L'Chol the Heter Beheter B'Chai Gavna. So for this, we learn to all opinions that we have a heter mixed into another heter. Of course, the original heter had an isser in it, but to an extent, so shishim rak neged davar osi. You only need 60 corresponding to that thing which forbids. Contribution township shel chalav, such as you cooked a milk dish b'kedera in a pot. Chalav mechzo reva neged amayim v'tavshil, and the milk was half or a quarter. Relative to the water or the cooked dish. Nishbach wrote the gdeira shel basar or tachas gdeira, and then this sauce fell into a meat pot or underneath the pot. I guess underneath the pot where there's also meat. You don't need 60 from the meat pot corresponding to the entire amount spilled from the milchik dish, but rather according to the amount of milk in it. If the initial milchik dish has half milk and half water and half water and cooked substance, nishbach Revius and Revius spilled out. So Shisha Geneged Chatz Revius needs 60 corresponding to half Revius. But Reva Cholav, a quarter of milk, Sarg Lashar, Geneged Reva Mashnishbar. You need corresponding to a quarter of what was spilled out. Chem Keter Shabbos, so to buy a meat pot. Shabbos Reva Mikok Dera. Where the meat was a quarter of the entire pot, Benishbach Revius Makdera Tok Kedera Shel Cholav Otachas Agdera, and a revius of the pot fell into a pot of milk or underneath that pot. Tzarech L'Shar Shishim Neged Reva Nishbach. You need 60 corresponding to a quarter of whatever spilled in. Chen Olam, and so on. Kavachomet Vort. It's a kavachar. Im bedavar iser lo. I mean, chatir nas is a bela. If by iser don't say chatir nas is a bela, I realize now I made a mistake at the first line of Lamadalit. Zema where he says Zema chol des the heter beheter chaygavna. No, about heter mamish. About milk into water and water into and meat into water, or whatever else is in the pot. And now he's making the kavachomer. He's saying if by an iser into heter, we don't say chanan by liquids. Koshkem beheter, so certainly by heter, right? Heter, in other words, each pot is mutter on its own. We don't say the piece became milk or meat. Even the most severe opinion, stringent opinion. So as you say, chanan by liquids, here it'd be moide. Even though the Marshal says that by Isser Shnal B'Toch Heter, that chanan, here it'd be moide. There's no such thing as Heter Shnal B'Toch Heter, which makes chanan. It doesn't make the entire dish milk, the entire dish meat. The brackets here he says, "Ein Chochem Asonim Cloud Mem Dal Sif Tesh and Yiskasha B'Zeh Tivir Amod Sin Tzadik Tes Yivav." Difficulty with this, but the Gemara writes, "B'Gzayis Cholav Shofel Amayim Nizbat V'Shishim." We have a gazayis milk which fell into water and then it was canceled in 60. Hakam Nafel Basar and then it fell to meat. Mutter says Mutter the mashma the Africa Shishim Amayim. Sounds like only if there's 60 in the water to negate the milk. Because of the Isser V'Het Arukh HaShulchan Chuli Ayin Sham. Said it's going to the Svet, I guess, is consistent. But the Arukh HaShulchan says no. I don't understand what the comparison is. Mashab Zer Abusa Yoiser. What is the bigger chiddush there? Adra b'shon kamar de ein al zeh shem cholav klal. I guess he's saying that it's the Ramah wrote it's in 60 in order to say that there's no shame milk at all when it's in 60. Okay, I'm not sure about that, but that's what it sounds like. Lamed Hey. Lamed Hey. Boy, today's long. Koshes barhu b'nam nafal basar tochav. All this is when meat fell into milk, or chav to basar, or milk into meat. Where still had to, or prohibited into substance or permitted substance. Where had to listen, or a permitted substance and a prohibited substance. V'zeu hakol, and this is all. V'zeu hakol b'tavshil mamish in the cooked dish itself. Ali nafal tipas chol b'agdeiru shel basar. What if the drop of milk fell on a fleshing pot, or wrote the shabbasak der shalav, or a sauce of meat fell on a milky pot, or tagsak der b'chutan underneath the pot in a hot oven? Here's the din macherik, what she's about to say. There are different halachas. But first, we have to preface our remarks with where you find the post in the following language. If you have a drop of substance which would not be appropriate for inside the kli, fell on the wall of the kli, and the outside. It's not clear whether it then diffuses throughout the vessel or not. That's why Sham ain't suffic. The word itself is no suffic. Before Sham the bishul mefaveh, the bishul that it says that the cooking does diffuse. The bishul kachim mixas keli. If you cook kachim in part of a keli, tom rikush tifel chol keli, and you have to do scrubbing and rinsing the entire keli. Ein sham el kamanasum mukein, but where they mean stop calling im hatam who mishum mefaveh al chol keli is the reason because it gets absorbed and diffused throughout the vessel. Osha zeu rak with kachim. That's only by kachim. Shtifas tzonen. I'm sorry. Osha rak gzeres haTorah. Last week we shtifa no, or maybe it's a special gzeres kosa by kachim. Require rika shtifa. There's rak with kachim. It's only there. Shtifas tzonen kavur sham. The idea of rinsing in cold is only an idea in kachim. The choyisurim. By all prohibited substances, it's not the kasha. And it could be because you need Mrika and Shtifa in the entire vessel, even though it doesn't get diffused throughout the vessel. It's crazy places for it. And then my taste of Sham, because of taste of Sham, the taste is right there, the Shekol HaKeli Cham, when the entire vessel is hot, Pshitim Vaveh B'chulei. It's obviously diffuses throughout the Keli, Ein Sham. Rashi Sham. It seems like Rashi will say the same thing. Shara Poskim Misapkulu. The Poskim had difficulty. Tzarchian Shol is Kiru. A Poskim Bal Yishulchan Aruch. Avam Farshim, the Rashi does psycholadin zeh. Why don't they mention the Rashi does? Oh, clearly that it does diffuse. In brackets he says, Mordechai Hevi, the Reeb Shitolad Enema Fafeh. We hold this portion does not diffuse. Mr. Cross Sham, it's on Rika Shtifa, the Kula, from the Pasuk back, the Pasuk requires Rika and Shtifa in the entire Keli. No, since the fact you need a Pasuk, teach us name Rika Shtifa in the entire Keli, tells us that it's doesn't diffuse throughout the entire Keli, it's a Chiddush. You have to do Rika Shtifa in the entire Keli. Lamed Vav, Kasva Tur, Tipas Cholav, Shenofla Al Kdera, if you have a drop of milk that fell in a pot, Sheitz Aish, which is by the fire, Mibachutz on the outside, Afilim Yesh, Batav Shukdera, Shishim Connector, even if the in the dish inside there are 60 corresponding to that drop, Any Yachol Vatlo. You kind of get it. Okay, now Tipo says, Hakdera, Kosvil Sale, and Nestor Shibah. It's the stuff on the inside. Kind of about something which came in from the outside, so Mela diffuses throughout the wall of the keli, and the whole keli comes also, and therefore the contents become also. Um, Varami Rudenberg Koslav Shim Yesh Batav Shil Shishim Pam Shishim Keneged Atipa. If there are 360 parts in the pot relative to the drop, mutas mitzvah tipa eno says elat shishim kenegda. The a drop can't answer more than 60, right? Because otherwise, after that, it loses its time. V'im yesh a tav shel shishim keneged osam shishim. So if in the pot there's 60, more than the 60 which the drop answered, which are permissible. Let's say for a mitzvah's question, she nafla connected a tavshil. Depends if it falls on the pot on the outside, opposite where there's the tavshil on the inside. Ain't circle shishim connected. They only require 60 corresponding to the drop. It does diffuse into the contents. If it fell into the cooked dish. If it fell into the empty part, and then it diffuses through the wall of the pot, add some until it gets to the sauce. To the extent in other words, it's able in that part which is above the liquid, and the liquid is down inside here, and it goes land out over the liquid. So that part where it landed, it can diffuse and also locally before it hits the level where the liquid is. So then you're going to need 60 corresponding to the level of which is of the empty level of the vessel. There's the inside again. And then there's not 60 corresponding to the drop. That place in the pot becomes osir. If you if you pour out the cooked dish over that space, that wall of the pot, which became forbidden, cooked dish is going to become osir. So what are you supposed to do? Leave it there and don't touch it until it becomes cold. Last section of and the velt has the custom to answer when the drop falls on the wall, not in the opposite the empty cavity instead. Simply it fell on the side which is not opposite the fire. Double congregation fell opposite the fire. Mutter, it's okay. She'esh from the option because the fire burns it and dries it up. But after the muat, and specifically talking about small amount of tipa, such as a drop. And nafal harpei, if a lot of it fell, ain lahatir afilim double congregation can't be matir even if it fell opposite the fire. And can negate a rotev it's opposite the source, and then you can maybe say kiyavata b'shishim. But when you hear matir b'shas l'chak, you can allow it. Come Shabbos, such as Friday afternoon. I feel shalok negrotem, even if it's not opposite the source. I feel shalok negreshim, it's not opposite the fire. I day shishim by 60 akam l'shon natur. Can't discuss v'shulchan aruch b'sif hey vav zayin. Lamed zayin. Birat vorim. The explanation here is the mikon because the tipa achas v'sesak devatavshi, with the one drop forbids the pot and the cooked dish. For time and the reason is File holds the Baal Deyazu. This opinion holds tipa mispashes that the drop diffuses throughout the vessel. Nas is cooked in the vela. The entire pot becomes a nevela. Chanan on the ktera. So she should cook there. You have to need 60 corresponding to the entire pot. Piro, and generally speaking, there's no 60 in the cooked dish corresponding to the pot. So it's the pot. The bio pot. B'shema tisha, shema tisha, balo ain't but tipa kadei litain tam b'kakdei. Listen, that's that trap. It can't give a taste into that much stuff. Should we the dafka the ramachal sheish machal atzmo tam, tzor gam isli tembo tam. So a tremendous chumrah. Answering the pot, it doesn't matter that the drop doesn't give a taste to the pot. The issue of no same time giving a taste is only when we're dealing with the food itself, not when we're dealing with vessel. So he said the reason he says is the reason is because the substance itself, when it's food, has a taste. So its taste is about the taste of the other substance. But a keli doesn't have a taste, although I don't think that's 100% accurate. The metallic is also a taste, but it doesn't have a food taste. So the food, so therefore, it's not. It doesn't stand in opposition to the drop. The time the gufa doesn't have its own taste. I feel like mashu, even only a mashu gets in. Nases hakdera kul nevel. The entire pot becomes nevela toshishim negda. It's 60 corresponding to that. These are custom smag v'chumra gedoylahi. It's a very big chumrah. But time ain't a kokach. The reason is not so clear. Shulchan Aruch lo nizkor klal de'azu. Shulchan does not mention this opinion at all. Lama ches v'chag maybe that's around Mirudenberg. Then the Torah brings down around Mirudenberg. So shishim pamim shishim, 60 times 60. Ben shnofak neged tavshil, whether it fell opposite the level of the dish cooking side. Ben shalom neged or it fell opposite the empty part. The Eus feel he holds the lormin and shatipa mismashal gdera. We don't say the pot diffused throughout the drop diffuses throughout the pot. Kam lorminon. We don't also say shefas lifnim that it diffuses inside the pot. Barbecue enough of a tavsha, and therefore it would be like it fell into the cooked dish. The diabetes negatipa, there would be enough to have 60 corresponding to the drop. Elam stapkulon. It's not true. Shem fast rock we can mix us keli. Maybe only diffuses a part of the keli. Shabazah mix us like a shishim negla, in which part of the keli there isn't 60 corresponding to that drop. V'lachenim yesh shishim pamim shishim. If it's 6 times 6 no matter what. If the drop is diffused throughout the entire pot, and there's 60 in the pot relative to the drop, in that case, it's definitely permitted. Because it's spread with and less than 60. So you have the battle the Issa, which kind of expanded into 59 parts, almost 60, with another 60 corresponding to the totality of the Issa. This is when he knows how many drops fell on the pot. To the point that we can reckon has 3,600 parts corresponding to the prohibited part. And many do a lot, but it's not known to us. May a lot of milk fell, but and then there's no 60 times 60 corresponding to the milk that fell. Then it's also there about afshul. Then talk of the pot and the cooked dish would be also. Also, this is a chumrah, a unique chumrah. Venice. It's too elaborate chumrah. It's not clear cut. Marsha, no matter which way you look at it. If we say it does diffuse inside the pot, I would say it gets all the way into the inside of the pot, but doesn't get into the cooked dish. If it diffuses inside, then we should also say they entered the cooked dish and became bottom. It's very difficult that it's falling on the pot makes it much more chomer than if it fell in the actual food. The actual food only not sitting the 60, 93,600. Okay, then obviously we have not gotten to the denouement yet, but that's all for today.